What's up, peeps? It's your main man, Joe Fleetwood, the hustler, and welcome to the Joe Fleetwood Podcast. As always, if this is your first time listening to the show, make sure you go to www.joefleetwood.net where you can get all my social media links. You can follow me and stay up to date with new shows and merchandise and every other thing that I have coming out on social media. While you're there, make sure you go check out our merchandise store, and you will also find links to the Dubby Jitter Free Energy Drink. Like I said before, if you've watched my show, I like the drink package because I can make drinks with them, but you can also get the canned drinks, the tub, and they have a bunch of other merchandise on there as well, like shaker bottles that you can purchase for yourself also. You get 10% off if you use the promo code Joe Fleetwood, so don't forget that. And like I said, the link is right there on the homepage of the website at the top, so make sure you check that out. Now, let me tell you a story of how today's topic came up. I was on Facebook and having a conversation with a good friend of mine by the name of Chandra Barnes. We went to high school together, and somehow we came upon the topic of divorce. And I was talking about how when going through a divorce, there are absolutely no support groups for men when it comes to just what to expect outside of the information you get from your lawyer. Um, you know, there's no financial assistance on the front end or the back end. There's no housing assistance really if you find yourself homeless because you've had to give up, the house going through a divorce. There's absolutely no support whatsoever. And she said to me, she said, you know what? Why don't you make it a podcast topic? Why don't you develop the group? Why don't you form a group in order to support men who are actually going through a divorce and give them a platform in which they can express themselves and talk, and then also have professional come in and talk, provide information, therapists, lawyers, life coaches, anyone who can provide any form of resource in order to help men who are going through a divorce. Now, I know for a lot of men, this is going to be really hard to either listen to or deal with or come to terms with, but we have to talk about it because it's the inevitable, right? Um, if there is a chance of you going back, if there's a chance of you and your partner reconciling, make every attempt that you can in order to reconcile. This will be the most, if you end up going through the divorce process, this will probably be one of the most nerve-wracking, emotional roller coaster situations you're going to find yourself in life, right? And before we even get to that point, let me just say this. I am sorry that you're going through this. I am sorry that the family is going to be broken. I'm sorry that the future that you envision with your spouse is no longer that future. But here's what I want you to do. Understand that there is a lot of life ahead of you. The only thing that you're going to have to do is really figure out what's the next step. What does the next chapter in your life look like? I ask that you do one thing. Just please, if you are going through this situation, just listen to what I have to say and please follow me and listen to the end. I will have chapter markers in the description. And if you don't want to listen to the whole thing, just skip ahead to the chapter that you feel is going to benefit you and the situation that you're in. The one thing that we as men tend to focus on is what is it going to cost us, and rightfully so we should, especially if we're the breadwinners in a relationship. Your goal should be to settle during mediation. You absolutely, for no reason, want to take this to court. If you have the financial means to go to court, you can take some liberties. But if you don't, by all means, do everything you can to resolve this situation and settlement at mediation. Because once you go to court and the judge sees that there is no room for negotiation between either parties, you're going to get what the state tells you. Whatever the judge says by order of the law is going to happen. So if you can make some concessions, come to an agreement, make an arrangement during mediation, that is the best time to do it. Like I said, if you have the financial means to fight it out in court, by all means do so. But for the majority of men going through divorce, you're not just going to have 30, 40, or $50,000 that you can afford to play with or even take the risk, knowing that you may end up paying for her court costs. You don't want to take that risk. Now, here's a few things that we have to accept, we as men, when going to court. If there is a child, accept the fact that you are going to pay child support. But I want you to make sure that you have a solid family plan that you can stick to that supports both you and your soon-to-be ex-spouse. You make sure that it is ironclad and you can uphold that your requirements to see your child. The other thing, if you're the breadwinner, just understand that alimony is going to be on the table. There's room for negotiation with alimony. There is no room for negotiation with child support. Now, with child support, you will get some type of credit if you take care of dental and health insurance and vision if needed. You will get a credit for that. But there's no negotiation. They have a child support calculator in which they're going to use to calculate your child support. They're also going to take the mother's income and tell you exactly, and on that child support order is going to tell you what the other spouse's requirement financially is to the child as well. Because a lot of times child support is looked at, as the non-custodial parent, I'm required to pay this amount into this household. Well, on that exact same sheet, the custodial parent has a financial requirement to the child, even though it's still in that same household as well. So I'll give you an example. My child support for my daughter was $1,371. Her mom's financial requirement to her was $671. Now, with that being said, my daughter had a financial obligation of $2,000 a month, give or take a few dollars. But to round it out, she had a financial requirement of $2,000 to take care of her. Now, I don't know of a 17-year-old that has $2,000 a month financial requirement in order to take care of them, unless they're in some outrageous extracurricular activities that requires a whole bunch of money. I don't see $2,000 being required for a child that's in high school with no extracurricular activities. She's not eating up $2,000 worth of food. But see, that mentality which I'm speaking of, that's what a lot of us will do. And I'm telling you, that will serve you no purpose. It's required. Let it go. You did your part. It's going to happen. You can't fight about saying, oh, well, she don't need that much. Well, you do have the option of negotiating what is fair with the mom. But like I said, you're not owed that, because the calculator will remove all doubt. Now, like I said, alimony, the amount is negotiable. You may have, and understand that alimony is different from state to state. If you have a no-fault state and an at-fault state, they handle things completely different. So you really have to, talk to your lawyer and see what it is in your state. So if you're in a state where there's no fault, they don't care who did what. They don't care about cheating. They don't care about any of that. The only thing they care about is you're getting a divorce. Here's who's getting what. And this is how we're going to break it down. We're going to break everything down the middle, 50-50, all assets. That's all they care about. But let's say when it comes time to calculate the alimony, one of the things that we as men, especially if you're the breadwinner, have to look out for, and you need to pay attention, you and your lawyer need to pay attention to the findings in which their lawyer uses to establish the amount of alimony. Usually in those findings, there is an overinflated cost of what the other spouse needs. It's overinflated. 9 times out of 10, it's overinflated. One thing that I did was the majority of the bills and the debt I already had, and I continued to pay those bills and debt through the divorce process and well into the back end. They took a different approach with me because I was in the military and I was getting a retirement. And we won't get into the specifics of that with me, of mine, because it's not normal and it's not average. Maybe we could do another podcast on the military men going through divorce. But for your average civilian, pay attention to those findings because they will get overinflated. And if you're the one who's typically paying for these things, go ahead and do the research and find out what your spouse will be paying when you're no longer paying it. And I say that because if you receive some type of credit, let's say for paying your car insurance because it's on your account, and now she has to pay car insurance on her own, they're going to take what she now has to pay on her own without your credit for years of being with that particular insurance company. They're going to take that into consideration, and it could be substantially higher. Also, if she's younger than you, insurance tends to be a lot more for females under the age of 27. So these are all things that you have to pay attention to. The second thing you need to accept is the division of assets. And if you're in a no-fault state, go ahead and understand that you're going to have to reset yourself financially because it's going to be a 50-50 split. If the spouse is willing to negotiate, great. You know, if she or he is not the type to be greedy, you know, just looking to bury you, and you have the option to negotiate, awesome, good on you. You picked a good one because not all are like that. But prepare yourself for the worst. Go into it from the moment you are, you know, it's brought to your attention that divorce is going to happen. Get it in your mindset that you're going to give up 50% of everything. And once you get into that mindset, figure out how you are going to make life work with 50% of your retirement, 50% of your retirement accounts, 50% of the money that you have in the bank, minus any child support or alimony you're going to have to pay. Go ahead and figure that out. If you have a house, go ahead and sell it. And I say it because of this. If you have to take out an equity loan in order to pay her out her portion of the equity of the house, that is going to increase your debt on top of the child support and alimony you already have. Go ahead and sell the house, divide up the equity, walk away with a nest egg of something because you're already going to be out the pocket. Your monthly expenses are going to skyrocket because now you have to pay child support and alimony. So figure it out from that standpoint. Save yourself some heartache, save yourself some time, save yourself some trouble. And knowing that the laws are set up like this, I can't understand why there are no support groups for men. There are parenting classes for men to teach you how to be a better father, but there is no financial support. There's no free legal support like women have. We have none of those things. And if they're out there, somebody please leave a comment, write in, let me know. But as far as from the research that I've done, I've seen nothing. The only thing I've seen when I did my research on support for men is that there is a national group for men, and divorce is one of the things that they have as far as support groups. That's it. It's a small website, very few hyperlinks. It's not even that detailed. That support group I was talking about is called Divorced Dad Support Group. It's what it's called. Um, and the website is the National Center for Men. And then on that website, you have the Divorced Dad Support Group. So I'll leave a link in the description if you want to go check it out. But like I said, the website itself is a very minimalized website. There's not much on it. There are other websites like Real Man Revolution, online divorce support groups. And maybe in some of those groups, they do have some of the things that I'm talking about. But from the ones that I went to, I didn't see any of that. So what I would like to do is kind of create some of that support myself. So moving on. Now, like I said, once you realize that all of this is going to happen and you've accepted the fact that you're going to have to pay these things and the division of assets, you need to start planning what life looks like after that. Do not sit around and wait until everything comes crashing down. Do not wait. Start figuring out how you're going to survive. Start figuring out where you're going to live. Rely on the support from your family and friends. Those are the people, and whoever else just supports you in general, because you're going to need their assistance. There are going to be days where you're going to be depressed. You're going to be angry, upset. You're going to want to lash out. You're going to want to hurt people. Whatever you do, do not do any of that. Find a way to take a few days for yourself and feel all of those feelings. Deal with it yourself. When you step out of the house or wherever it is you are living, continue to be stoic, maintain your manhood, maintain your character, maintain your pride. Keep all of that to yourself. Whatever it is you're going through, mentally and emotionally, feel those things, but feel it in a place where you can do it and not be judged for it. Surround yourself with people, with friends who are going to allow you to feel those feelings. They're going to allow you to talk. Go to therapy. Talk to a life coach. Do whatever it is you need to do to get it all out and express yourself, because you don't want that stuff pent up. You don't. Find the courage and find it within yourself to do the work you need to heal so you can continue to move forward. Do not let this situation break you. I don't care if you are at fault. Accept your consequences. Be a man. Deal with those feelings and emotions. Deal with the fact that the decision you made led you there, and go through it. And if you didn't do it and it's not your fault, and your spouse decided that it was time to leave and she chose to, or he chose to, take those same steps. Go to the therapy. Go see a life coach. Go to the gym. Surround yourself with those same friends and support group. Do all the same work. Nothing changes. But you need to be able to survive after the fact. Don't let everything that you've worked for, and yes, you took an L. You took one. But don't let everything you worked for slip away permanently, because they're just things. You can get them back. You can get it back. It may not be the same, or it may not be as much, but you can get it back. Continue to move forward. And who knows, you may even find yourself in a better situation. Now, one of the other things is you're going to have to deal with is your children. When it comes to your children, it is very important to maintain your respect, dignity throughout this entire ordeal. Like I said, do not lose those things. Don't fall for any bait tactics. Don't fall for any attempt made by your spouse to belittle your role as a father or remove you from the child's life. Maintain your role as a sound, maintain your role with this. Like I said, I mentioned this earlier. Maintain your role as a sound parent and get a sound parenting plan and speak with your child every single day. Set a daily schedule when you're going to call and stick with it. Make sure your child knows that you are still in their lives. Do not allow room for them to think otherwise. When you speak to your child, lead the conversation and have open discussions about their feelings and how the separation affects them. Let them express themselves. If you have a spouse who is the type that would not say a bad word about you to the child and stuff like that, that's awesome. If you're put in the unfortunate position to where the other spouse is constantly bad mouthing you to the child, the time that you get with the child, don't return the favor. Do not bad mouth the other parent. Speak to your child, as I said, lead the conversation, allow them to express their feelings. Let them speak to you about what's going on in their lives. Understand that they may be conflicted in themselves because they're hearing mom say one thing and dad, you're saying something else. So that creates a conflict and they don't know which way to go. So what you need to do, be the sounding board, be the sounding parent and say, hey, you're free to express yourself with me and tell me exactly how you feel. But whatever you do, don't play the same game. Never play who's at fault game. Keep the kids out of the feud between you and your spouse. And trust and believe the child will see as they grow which parent is antagonizing the situation. And if they don't, another hard pill to swallow, take solace in the fact knowing that you did your job and you did it without bad mouthing the other parent. There may come a point where the child gets old enough and you decide to let it all out. Then by all means make that choice. But while they're young, impressionable, and still developing, don't play those games. The next thing you need to do is find yourself, because you have spent your entire time being a husband and a father for the majority of your life, most likely. You spent your entire time doing these things. And now you're no longer a husband, you're still a father, but things have changed. Find a hobby, find a group of friends, continue to live life, make memories, plan vacations with your kids. By no means is your life over, it's just different. One of the hardest things is figuring out how to cope with the change and getting to a place of normalcy, because you're used to having that role in the everyday routine. When you come home, it's no longer there. The other thing that will plague you is, how is this even fair? And the truth is, it's not. Right now, if I ask the question to, we'll say 100 people, when going to court, would you rather be a man or a woman? I would say 100% of the people I asked that question to would say they would prefer to be a woman. And if you can truly say that without even thinking about it, that tells you that the system when it comes to family law is wrong, unjust, unfair, and to a degree corrupt. Because as the breadwinner, you're punished for being successful in the event that you end up going to court and going through a divorce. They will strip you of everything they will strip you 50% of everything you work for, because you were successful, because you did the right thing in order to take care of your family. You were being punished because a relationship didn't work. So the question is, how do we fix these laws? How do we get to a point to where everything is balanced, equal, and fair? Well, the first thing you have to do is figure out how to change laws. Now, because my divorce was in the state of Georgia, I went online to georgia.gov and found out the steps that need to be taken in order to change laws. So the first thing you need to do is you must draft up the idea. So once you draft up the idea, you contact your state legislator to assist you with the idea and find a solution to the issue at hand. If the solution if the solution you and the legislator come up with require law changes or a new law, then you move on to step 2. Step 2 is presenting it to the Georgia General Assembly. Now, the General Assembly is Georgia's versions of Congress. The legislator will present the idea to the Office of Legislative Counsel and an attorney to draft up the bill using the correct format and terminology. Now, once all of this is done, the bill will be filed with the Secretary of the Senate, and if the state legislator is a representative, they will file the bill with the clerk of House. The clerk of the House. Of course, the next step is awaiting the second Monday in January when the Georgia State Legislative sessions start. Now, when you go on to step 3, the third step will be the Georgia State Legislative session. This will be the first reading in the chambers of the legislator who authorizes it. If the bill passes the committee, the bill will have its second reading, and the second reading will be to the Georgia House of Representatives, and it will be read aloud. There are 3 things that could happen at this point. You will either get a due pass with amendments, or a due pass by substitute. If the bill passes the committee, it is ready to be added to the general calendar, which lists the bill's favorable reports, and it is now ready to head to the floor for consideration. Now, the next step is the third reading, where it goes on the general calendar, which I just spoke about. Won't go into detail on that. I'll post a link and let you check out all these details, but that's step 4. Step 5, it will be taken to a vote. Step 6, it will define the governor's roles. And then step 7, which is the final step, it will become a bill. The final step is step 7, and the bill becomes a law. Now, the process in order to change laws or do any type of government reform is a lengthy process, especially when it comes to matters of the state. Now, if you haven't heard my earlier podcast, I did a show talking about child support, Title 4D, and how the states benefit from the breaking apart of families, because they are awarded under Title 4D 66 cents of every dollar that they collect. So the state is incentivized for children to be separated from their parents as a whole. Remove one parent, make that parent pay child support. We get federal grant money, 66% of every dollar that we collect, we get grant money from the federal government for doing so. That's Title 4D. You can go back and listen to that podcast if you want to know more, or you can look it up yourself. But it is Title 4D. There are so many laws in this country when it comes to family court that needs to be reformed, so much so that I myself have already taken the first initiative in order to draft up the idea in order to send to a Georgia state legislator. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to post a copy of what I have come up with. I'm either going to do a Google Dropbox links, and you can check it out. If you do go check it out, go ahead and read up on it. If you think I should make changes, if there's some things that I need to add to it, please, by all means, let me know. But this will give you all kind of a first look at what I am drafting up and what I think is fair when it comes to divorce in general across the boards. It sets clear guidelines. It sets a clear division of assets and properties. Also, when it comes to retirement, I think the retirement is one of the biggest scams when it comes to divorce court for men than anything else. Because you can't tell me that when you have 2 people who are both working towards retirement, that in any situation, one party's retirement should be on the table. They should both be allowed to just keep their own retirement. Doesn't matter if one retired first and the other one is still working. You're paying into your retirement. You're still working. If I am retired and my pension is paying me, and that's how I survive. You mean to tell me that this person is still working? I've retired, and I'm required to give up 50% of my livelihood because the relationship didn't work? That's crazy. And you, for the life of me, I cannot understand how is it possible to indebt someone to pay alimony for 10 years or more? I don't care whether it's the wife paying it to the husband paying it to the wife. When both parties are working, alimony shouldn't even be a thing. Period. But if you think so, please, by all means, tell me a situation in the comments of when you think alimony is appropriate. Now, I'm not saying no alimony, but what I am saying is that there should be alimony with substantial caveats. Because I can't think of any situation where you should pay someone alimony longer than 2 years. In the event that someone has not worked, I would say if you've worked in the last 2 years of the marriage and you don't have a substantial savings, then I can see you getting maybe 2 years of alimony. If you haven't worked in the last 5 years or more than the last 5 years, then you should get 36 months of alimony. Why? Because you've been out of work for 5 or more years. Getting a job after 5 years of no employment, that's going to be tough. 5 years or more, it's going to be tough to get a job. 36 months of alimony, I think you deserve that. But if you can't find a job within 36 months, 3 years, you're the problem. You're the problem. That just tells me you don't want to work and you want your ex-spouse to support you. And most likely you've moved on to a relationship, to another relationship, because I don't think even you remarrying should be a reason to not get alimony. Because usually you get alimony up until you remarry. First of all, you shouldn't be getting alimony longer than 36 months anyway, whether you remarry or not. So that's just me. That's my belief. I strongly believe that if we're going to make it fair across the board. If I got to pay child support, cool. I've never had an issue with paying child support. I paid child support for 23 years. 23 years. Never missed a payment, never been late at all. I have no problem paying child support. Those are my kids. Matter of fact, the jokers live with me right now. So it's like I never stopped paying. I never stopped taking care of them. So, like I said, I am going to place, I'm probably going to do a Google Dropbox link, that will allow you to take a look at the bill that I've drafted, the idea, like I said, that I want to submit to the Georgia legislator and see if I can get some type of dialogue going and see if we can push for some type of reform. Please, by all means, leave comments. Reach out to me. My social media links are on www.joefleetwood.net. They're at the very top of the page. If you see this on YouTube, leave a comment. If you need somebody to talk to, hit me up in my DMs. If you're on the Joe Fleetwood website, go to the contact us and you can leave me a message right there. It comes directly to my email. My direct email is www.joefleetwood.net. Make sure you check that out if you want to, correction, my email address is joe@joefleetwood.net. That's my email address if you want to email me directly. Like I said, if you do it on the Contact Us page on the website, I'll get it to that same email address. Lawyers, life coaches, therapists, if you want to be a part of this, please send me your information. Let's develop a group. Let's do something positive. Let's figure out a way to support our men us as men, as we go through these life changes and how they affect us. Let's go ahead and start trying to implement that reform and do something good, man. That's all my time. I'm Joe Fleetwood. Thank you guys for listening. Peace.